Sorry, I did have it. There you go. Good, good. So good morning, everyone. It's Joe Kozo, team leader, KW Cornerstone Realty in Montgomery. I'm going to ask if you guys, if you can mute yourself, I'd greatly appreciate that, okay?
I hope at the end of the
So if not, I'll
year,
be muting
he
you.
had the audacity to ask.
Okay, so just keeping it kind of quiet for now. I want to go through some housekeeping real quick. As you do have a question, anything that you want to add to the session for today, feel free to put it in the chat box. We'll be monitoring the chat box. As we see the question, we can answer as quickly as we can. If we don't get to it, we'll look at getting it to the end. So today's session is simply on geographical farming. Now, this is a whole listing mania session. So this is one of the things that most agents find very successful in farming into a specific neighborhood. I've been very, very fortunate to be sandwiched between two great speakers for the whole listing mania session. If you were not on the Linda McKissick session yesterday, you need to get to that recording and listen to that. Linda McKissick is awesome, and I can't say that word enough. She just gets it. She has no notes. She just gets it. So listen to that recording if you did not. If you did attend, I hope you made some notes for yourself, but there's some great stuff that Linda McKissick spoke of. Of course, behind me is another great speaker, Jason Abrams. If you've not heard Jason Abrams speak, I would highly encourage you to be on that session as well. Jason's amazing. So I've been sandwiched between the two of them. I wouldn't say I'm the meat in the sandwich. I'm more like the peanut butter and jelly guy in the sandwich here. So that's the way I look at that too. So, so welcome again, Joe Kozo, team leader here at Keller Williams Cornerstone Realty. This listing mania sessions have been awesome. They've been phenomenal, and it's been really. I've been proud to be involved with this. Our market center be involved with it. The other market centers have been doing an outstanding job, and the speakers have been great. So I'm going to jump into this a little bit about geographical farming. I'm going to tell you a little bit about myself too. I'm on my 26th or 27th year in this business. 18 of it's been in sales. I spent 14 years with a Century 21, 5 with a Remax. I've been here at KW for 8 years, and I also had 2 years in my own private, hung my own shingle. I will never do that again. That was a huge, huge mistake. But in my time in the sales part of this business, I did have a geographical farm. My farm started with 100 pieces. I remember my first week, the broker said to me, okay, you need a farm. And I said, what are you talking about? I had no clue what a farm was. I'm in real estate, farming. I know. And they explained to me, it's a geographical area you're going to start marketing to. So I picked 100 pieces. No one told me what to do. I learned as I went, unfortunately. Made a lot of mistakes over the years in doing this too. Marketing, sending the wrong pieces and everything else. But I found when you actually are effective in actually marketing to a geographical area, this could be hugely beneficial. Now, my last 2 years in the sales part of this industry, before I came over to KW, 22, and I look back at my numbers, 22 and 28% of my business came from my geographical farm. I started out with 100 pieces, 100 properties. I ended with over 2,000 properties. And that was the key for me. But to get 22 to 28% of my business from a geographical farm is amazing. Okay, it's truly amazing. Now, on this call with me is going to be sharing some time with Nim Sandhu. Nim's going to show you the format that she has and she uses to determine a geographical farm. Some great stuff. She put this together in an Excel spreadsheet. I am impressed because I never got to this level. So about midway through the presentation, Nim's going to jump in, share her screen a little bit. And at that point, we're going to talk a little bit about what Nim does to pick the right geographical farm. So let me share my screen with you guys real quick. Okay. And let's get to this. Okay. So again, oops. Let's go to my slideshow real quick. There you go, from beginning. Beautiful. Okay. So again, Joe Kozo. So here's a comment, and I kind of tweaked it a little bit. Basically, it reads this way. The best time to plant the seed was 20 years ago. The next best time is now. And I replaced a tree with a seed because that's what it is. In geographical farming, do not expect that you're going to generate income immediately. It is a farm. You don't plant a seed of corn today and eating a corn tomorrow. That's not the case, okay? So I'm going to get you guys revved up because it is Tuesday morning, Andy. Is it Tuesday morning? Tuesday morning. So here we go. So if you guys recognize this, good for you guys. If not, sing along with it, okay? Here we go. Come on, sing along. Farm living is a life for me.
Spreading out so far and
That's how
wide.
it goes.
Keep Manhattan, just give me that countryside.
New York is where I'd rather stay. I get allergic smelling hay. I just adore a penthouse view. Darling, I love you, but give me Park Avenue.
The chores,
The stores,
fresh air.
Times Square.
You are my wife.
Goodbye, city life.
Green Acres, we are there.
All right. So I am not sure how many of you guys ever seen the show Green Acres. It was an all-time favorite of mine, but see, we're talking geographical farm land, so I figured I'd throw that in there too. So I hope you enjoy the Green Acres thing. We got a little snippet at the very end too, just to tease you a little bit to make this a little bit more fun too. So here's the agenda for today. Pretty simple. We're going to talk about how to establish a budget. Okay, that's going to be a key, a great starting point for you in reference to setting up a geographical farm. Then we're going to talk about how to choose the best and most productive farm. And there's some things that I want to touch on in reference to sales trends and things of that nature. Nim's going to come on and talk about her spreadsheet that she has. Nim, just so you know, is one of our top producing agents here in our market center. Nim's been with us for, I think, I would say 9-10 years at this point, if not longer. I will tell you, she does qualify this year alone as a Circle of Excellence Award winner at the gold level. So congratulations to Nim on that too. So kudos to Nim. Okay. So she's an outstanding real estate agent, tech savvy. You'll enjoy what Nim has to say too. Basically, we're going to talk about what the marketing piece should look like. What should you send the people here in your geographical farm? We'll touch on campaigns, flooding the market, things of that nature. And we'll really talk about some additional value propositions for you that you could think about. Hey, why should I have a geographical farm? Okay. So in doing this, simply this, you need to start thinking about establishing a budget. Okay. It's pretty simple for you. If you're going to do this, you need to have a budget. What does the budget look like? Well, it depends on what you're willing to spend. The problem with most agents is this: they just don't establish a budget. They really do not know how much they want to spend on geographical farm or how long it's going to be. Okay. You need to understand, what is my budget on this? What can you afford to do? And as we get into that, you'll just kind of see like, oh, I can afford to do this, because that budget is going to determine how big your farm is going to be. Okay. So let's just assume, and that's a pretty nasty, unpredictable word, assume $1 per contact or $1 per piece, if you can look at it from that standpoint. And I know what you're saying, Joe, that seems kind of high. $1 for a postcard, $1 for a mailing, $1 for Facebook marketing. And yes, it does seem a little high, but I would rather you anticipate $1 per piece and underspend than anticipate 25% or 25 cents per piece and overspend. Figure $1 if you get some extra money left over and you say, wow, I'm getting the return and I'm looking at that. That's great. Then maybe I should spend wide open my farm, open it up a little bit more. Okay. So figuring that at least $1 per piece is a good way to go. I will tell you this, for the most part, if you spend 50 to 75 cents per piece, that's a lot in itself. Okay. And not to mention, just so you know, guys, I am mathematically challenged. So anything that I can do to round things up or round them down makes my life that much easier too. So let's assume that you're making 10 touches per year, 1 per month. And they said, hey, Joe, there's 10 months in a year. That's 12 months in a year. What happened about December and August? Well, I want to tell you this, just what I used to do. I took December and August off, okay? And why December and August? Well, let's put it this way. December, there's every holiday on the planet is happening in December, okay? Mail is flying around in December, cards, this, that, and everything else. People are busy in December, okay? So I think anything that you do as far as a mailing piece just won't get its due respect. It'll be there, it'll get thrown in the garbage, it won't get the respect that you really like it to be, okay? So that's why I didn't do December, and I didn't do August either. I didn't do August just for the fact that I felt August was sort of that month that everybody's on vacation, nobody's focusing on real estate, they already made their purchase, they already sold their home. In hindsight, what we went through COVID-19, I would have marketed in August because everything was delayed. But that's a unique situation itself. So, but assuming 10 touches per year, 1 per month, taking December and August off is probably the way to go. So if you're using a budget scenario, and I started this and I said, Joe, I want to establish my budget to be at least $5,000 a year. 10 months, break it down. I'm going to work in reverse here. $5,000 a year times 10 months, that's $500 per month. basing it on that number, $1 per piece, that means I'm looking at 500 homes. Okay. So that's my budget right now for 500 homes is $5,000 per year. I will tell you this, as I said, commit to the budget. Don't say, hey, life's tough for me, I'm not going to go spend $1,000 or $2,000. No. You commit to $5,000 a year. And when Nim gets on this, she's going to talk about her estimated return on her investment. And that's a key for you guys to fully understand too. But you must commit to the budget. You must commit to the geographical farm plan. The problem with most agents is simply this. They send out a mail piece. Oh, I send out a mail piece and it says, here's a recipe for lasagna. Okay. And I'll send out 500 pieces and they get no return. I might get somebody say, hey, I'm thinking about selling my home, whatever it might be, but they don't get much in return. Okay. Now they're a little frustrated. They try it the next month. They send out another piece. Here's a recipe for tuna casserole, like people eat tuna casserole, right? So with that in mind, it's pretty much they get no response. Oh, this farming stuff doesn't work. And believe me, guys, been doing this for 26 plus years. I've heard this story over and over and over again. Farming doesn't work. Open houses don't work. No, they don't work because you don't do them the right way. That's the problem. Okay. So you got to commit to a year here and you got to commit a budget to that. See, if you're putting together your P&L, your profit loss, and you're budgeting things, and that you're spending X amount of dollars per month on marketing, and this is part of your marketing is farming, then great. Then at least you know how much you're going to spend. That way, have an idea what you need to do to make money to get to that paying off that part too. So here's what I want to tell you, how to choose the best geographical farm. You need to research it, guys. And again, here's the number one mistake most real estate agents do. Oh, I love that neighborhood. Oh, I'm going to start marketing to it. I would love to get a listing over there in the Umpty Ump farm, whatever it might be. those are beautiful homes over there. This is great. I would love to do this. I would love to do this. Okay. Don't pick a neighborhood based on you love to do it. Don't. And if you pick a neighborhood and you got your budgets established, you need to understand a couple key factors here. One, what is the average sale price of that development? What's the average sale price? It's not complicated. Okay. You need to figure that out. That's a key factor in there too. What's the average sale price? More importantly, is what's the turnover percentages? See, if you're picking the Umpty Ump neighborhood, and let's say it's got 500 homes, and let's say, for the sake of argument, 50 homes in the last 3 years, each of the last 3 years, or 10% of the homes have gone under contract and sold. That's a 10%. Let's up that number. Let's say 20%, which is ridiculously high. So we're talking 100 homes each year for the last 3 years have sold. And now you're coming into a year 4. That well's been tapped into too many times at this point. There's probably not much business there in year 4, year 5. That's a lot of turnover. That's basically 300 homes out of 500 in the last 3 years that have turned over. That leaves 200 homes. You're probably not going to get much business out of there. In reverse, though, if you take the turnover percentages in a neighborhood that's only turned over, say 5%, well, that number is substantially different. Let's say 2%. You're talking what? 2% of 500 is what? 10 homes. So 10 homes, 30 homes in the last 3 years. I might tell you that market might be ripe for the picking. It might be ripe for the picking. So understand what the turnover percentages are, or if you don't, you could make the wrong mistake and spend a lot of money for a year or 2 or 3 years and get no return and then get all annoyed about it too. Understand the average days on a market. Is this a sellable neighborhood? For the most part, you should have a good feel for that. But what is the average DOM? Is it 30 days, 60 days, 90 days? That's going to go into your factor here and reference that as well. And you need to understand your income potential. This is all stuff that Nim is going to talk about in reference to that as well. What's their income potential here too? So what you also need to do is research the agents who have been listing and selling in that particular farm area for the last 3 to 6 years. Now, I went back 6 years here a little bit, and I went back 6 years for this reason. If you see, I underline selling. Okay, because very often I'm Joe, I'm the agent representing a buyer, and a buyer buys in a neighborhood, but it bought there 3 years ago, 4 years ago. But I'm a pretty darn good realtor. My follow-up skills are impeccable. I drip campaign, I do smart plans on all my past clients and customers. So 4, 5, 6 years from now that client wants to sell, there's a good chance if I've done my job, they're going to list with me. There's a good chance they can list with me, okay? That's why I say go back 3 to 6 years, because you might lose opportunities if John Smith, an agent, has been doing a lot of business over there, selling a lot of homes. John Smith might have 4, 5, 6 listings in the next 3, 4, 5, 6 years. That's going to minimize your effectiveness that way too, okay? But you also need to understand who are the key listing agents. If there's one agent that's dominating, I mean, literally dominating, pick up 50, 60% of listings over there, do you want to have that fight? Do you want to have that fight? Do you want to break into that market? So let's say Mary listing agent she's 75 years old and she's on her way out retiring. You start to notice that Mary's business is dropping off. Hey, maybe you could pick up on Mary's coattails and start picking up that business. That might be something. But understand this. Understand who's listing and selling over there. You need to do homework on that too. If you do not do the homework, you're missing the opportunity as well. Okay. You need to fully understand the type of home ownership in that farm. Is this a development that's a trade up buyer, someone that trades up or trades into? Okay. Are these starter homes? Are they townhomes? Are they condos? Are these people right sizing? Are they big homes that are going to downsize into something small? I like the term right sizing better. But right sizing to me seems so much more professional. Downsizing has a negative connotation to it. That's just my thing. So is this a right sizing neighborhood? Are they 800, $900,000 homes, big 4-bedroom square foot homes that, 4,000 4-bedroom homes that basically are in a position where the moms and dads are in this big home and they don't need to be in anymore. So look at that too. Also look at this. What's the growth and expandability potential outside of farm area? See, it's really difficult if you pick a farm area and you have no expansion opportunities. You pick a neighborhood, it's got 200 homes. The next neighborhood you want to pick is the next town over. Well, you know what? That makes it difficult for you too, because you're picking pocket neighborhoods out and around different areas. Now, from that standpoint, I will tell you this. Pick a neighborhood you can expand out and beyond. The area that I picked years ago, basically it started, and if you know anything about Hillsborough, Amwell Road. In Amwell Road, as you go all the way down from Hillsborough all the way into Raritan Township, it's got all these pocket communities. So I picked Amwell Road, I picked a couple pocket communities, and basically as I went and I grew, I expanded to another community, another community, another community. That added to my 5,000 total pieces that way too, or my 2,000 pieces. So what's the expandability of that geographical farm? Okay, so if you have that there, look at that as an option for yourself too. Finally, is there diversification? Please, guys, do not pick all high-end homes, because I love selling $1 million homes. You know, in your area, that might be the average sale price. I don't know, but I love selling $1 million homes, and that's all you're at. But here's the thing: is those $1 million homes don't come around every day. So diversify. Look at maybe some lower-end properties that flip over a little quicker, some mid-range stuff, and also diversify into something that's a little bit more high-end. So look at these type of characteristics. That's going to be important for you picking the right geographical farm. And these are key things too. So that being said, I'm going to actually go right to Nim. Okay, so again, Nim's going to go through her presentation. I'm going to unshare my screen. Nim, you could jump in it. And Nim's going to talk about what she has set up, which is phenomenal in reference to that. So Nim, I'm going to stop share, and you want to jump on it and share your screen, Nim.
Thank you, Joe. I'm just sharing my screen now. Do you see that?
Yep.
Okay. So I started with Joe talking about geographical farming, and he identified all this stuff, and I was a little, I wanted to kind of put it all in numbers and things that we can understand. So we took, I'm just going to go through, we took many different neighborhoods to kind of identify which gives better returns. And instead of picking up just the name, when you're pulling up a neighborhood, look at all the streets in that neighborhood. It's easier to just pull everything from the MLS that way when you do a search. And I'll go back around to GSMLS and just show you how the searches are done at the end. But I'm going to go through the spreadsheet first. So here's the data we pulled from GSMLS. It's got the ML number, the address, the closing date for the property, the listing agent ID, and the name, because it's easier to identify the agents by their name. The listing off as well. This is not formatted correctly. I'm just going to format the cell correctly here. So the listing agent ID and listing office, the list price, the sale price, and the year the property was sold. And I pulled data for, in this case, Princeton Highlands, let's say, for the past 6 years. So anything that's sold in Princeton Highland, identified by the streets for the past 6 years, from 2015 onwards. Easy enough to do. I created a custom one-liner to pull that data. And again, I'll go back to GSMLS to show you how that can be done. Very easy to do. Pulled it in here, and then have some formulas going on here to give us an overview of this data. So first is the price range. This is what gives you an idea of what the average sale price should be. So what the price range comes from the sale price of the properties. And this is just an average formula. So you know what the average sale price is for the neighborhood that you are looking at, the total number of homes in that neighborhood. And this comes from the GSMLS tax searches. If you just put in the same streets into the tax search, you can get the total number of homes on those streets. And that's going to be the number of pieces you're going to have to send out when you're mailing something out, which is important to know. The total number of sales that took place in those past 6 years. So that's the total data we've pulled. So if you look down here, it's 66 homes that came up for the past 6 years. The number of sales per year. So that's just the max. So I've pulled 6 years. Maybe you want to do 5 years or 4 years. Depending on what you're doing, it's going to take the max number of years minus the minimum number of years from your list identified and give you the number of sales per year. After that, I've identified the potential number of sales. So for me, I'm taking 1/4 of the number of sales per year. And you may want to take a little bit more or less. So if it's 11 sales that's per year, I may not be able to get all those 11 sales, but I may be able to get 1/4 of those sales if I'm farmed to that area correctly. So I'm identifying the farm and the number of sales in that farm that I could potentially get.
And that's your personal choice, Nim. You said basically I could get 25% of the business if I'm actively farming in that area. And you broke that 11 down to 3, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, when you get better at this and year 2 of farming and year 3, that number might go to 30 to 40 to 50%, correct?
That's correct. So as you farm to a neighborhood more and more, that number should be going up. But to start a farm, when you're looking at, the very beginning, let's say it's 25%. The next thing we're going to look at is the cost per home per year. And I've kept this a little high. I know Joe said $10 per year. I've put it at 17. Maybe you want to send out a magnetic, a calendar at the end of the year that may cost you a little bit more. Add in a couple of extra pieces the first few months that you're starting a new farm. So initially this may be at $17, but again, year 2, year 3, this cost may actually go down a little bit. The average commission for a sale here, I've kept it as 2.5%. And again, it depends on what you're comfortable with, but this is the average that we put in there to identify your potential income. So the potential commission is basically, so if the average sale price is this and your commission is this, and that's the number of sales you're looking at, we're coming to, so 3 sales at 2.5%, average sale price of this, it's $44,726 in this case is the potential commission from this farm. And the potential expense for this farm is basically your cost that you've identified, whatever this may be, and the total number of homes that you're in that neighborhood. So that's just a multiple of those 2 items. And then the income is obviously the potential commission minus whatever expense you spent doing that marketing for that neighborhood. So that's your potential income. And then this is a very important number, which is the return percent for that neighborhood. So in this case, it's 8.74, which is not bad.
No, and just so you guys understand this too, a very good return on investment like this is 10x. If you get a 10 times return on your investment, you're doing really well on marketing. Basically, NIM is almost at 9. That's pretty good too. That's pretty good too. And again, that's year 1, assuming that you do everything that we're talking about here too. That's year 1. So year 2 could be as much as 11% because you're looking at 4 sales. maybe 5 sales, so that number will change. But the key thing is what NIM has. This is a means to track this, not to just establish a farm, but what's happening for next year and how you can move this forward. Okay, go ahead, Nim.
So this was just looking at the numbers, that we've got here. Now let's look at a little bit of a chart which gives you what Joe had identified. If there's a particular agent who's more prominent in a neighborhood, how do you identify that when you're starting your farm? So based on the data that we have here, we just created a pivot chart. I'm going to move this a little to the side. So we created a pivot chart. Okay. We created a pivot chart, and the items we need for a pivot chart is the year. So we've got years identified here. So it's 2015 to 2020. The listing agent, and very clearly for this particular neighborhood, Princeton Highlands, we can see there's one agent, Mary Saba, who's dominating the sales here, because all the other agents have just one sale, spread out. There's no other agent who's really prominent here. That's the only agent. Very visual and easy to understand. And what you're seeing as these high points are the count of the number of sales she's done per year. And if we look at this chart here, again, it's easy to identify. Here's the agent, the number of sales she's doing per year, her total number of sales. And if you want to see the total number of sales for the neighborhood, you can go down here and see that it's pretty standard, except for 1 year, which had let's say 2017 was a bump year where Mary had 14 sales. But other than that, it's pretty average, 10, 11 sales per year. And that's consistent. That's what it's going to be. So our projections here should stick. And I've done that for many different neighborhoods. So identified country classics by streets. And if you look here, the price point, the average price point is higher, and the income potential is much higher. Return is about the same, and your expenses are a bit higher just because the number of homes that you're going to be marketing to is a little bit higher here. Same thing. And if you look at the chart here, again, you're seeing, there's a few agents who are more dominant than others, but generally pretty spread out. And for that, for those agents, you can identify whether their sales are going down or they're steady and how much competition you're looking at. So that way.
And again, in that neighborhood too, some of those sales are actually from new construction. So you'll have to understand who the new construction agent is that goes under his name as well. That's going to be important for you to understand the neighborhood. And also on both those cases, as Nim's pointing out, are you prepared to compete against that agent? Not everybody wants to list with that agent, obviously, as you look through here, but that's your competition. That's a key thing for you to understand. See, again, most people say, I'm going to go to Country Classics because they got great homes there. But then now you have to unseat a queen at this point. That's what you have to do. That's what we're looking at doing. Just an FYI, right, Nim?
Yes.
Okay. So, which is good. Okay. But that understanding here is going to help you understand, do I go for this neighborhood or do I not go for this neighborhood? Don't be scared by one producing agent there. Do not be scared by that agent, because quite frankly, sometimes that agent drops the ball a little bit too. It's just seeing that other people are taking listings there as well.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And if you want to look at a summary, so to get this, let's go to GSMLS a little bit. Where do I get this data from? Because it's this data that's driving your numbers here and the chart. How do I get that data? So we would have to go to GSMLS here. And the first thing you would have to do is create a custom one-liner. It's easy enough to do. And in my case, I created something called farming analysis. And out of all the fields, what I needed and what I require for the chart there is the closing date, the listing agent ID and name, listing office, not necessary, but I mean, you can do other analysis based on the office as well. and you have the list price and the sale price. So these are some of the things that are important. Selling agent, as Joe mentioned, that's something that we can add in there as well, just to do the same charting based on the selling agent if you want to go a little bit further. And when you do your regular search, so let's do search, let's say Hillsborough, and I'm just going to put in a neighborhood here, or let's just do a street. So what I did was I used, let's say I'm going to pull, this is Franklin, but I'm going to use that. I'll go here to Franklin, put in the street, pick up all the active under contract and sold listings since 2000 that have closed since 2015.
Nim, can I hold you there for 1 second?
Yes.
So after you do all this and set this all up, you could do the same search for withdrawn properties, expired properties, old withdrawn, old expireds, and temporary withdrawal, because that might be a source of business for you also, because as you're setting up your geographical farm, you're looking at what has not been selling in a neighborhood. And it really hasn't sold because of one thing, that's price, okay? But if that goes back 6 years ago, that might be an opportunity for you to also pull information and say, hey, listen, here's 3 or 4 or 5 other opportunities. I can maybe go after them right now because you're doing your geographical homework, okay? And now you're looking at it from the standpoint of saying, I could do this right now, pick up some additional listings that way as well. So, okay.
Yep. So here we have, and what this has come up as is your default. You need to change this to the one-liner that you created, which has the data that you want, because the system default doesn't have some of the fields that we need for our analysis. So we're going to change that to the one that we created. And there are a couple of ways to do this, but I've found that the easiest way to do it is just to copy and paste it. So you copy it, but if you want to do it a different way, there is ways to export it. So download it. You could select all these fields and download them as Excel and do it that way. But again, the easiest way to do it is just to copy it. Okay, so I'm just gonna, let's say I don't have any of this here. I'm gonna delete all this. If I was, let's say I was creating a new farm here, I'm just gonna delete all this. And when I paste it, I do have to do something a little different. So I'm going to do a paste special. And I'm going to paste it as text because I want it in the fields as it is in GSMLS. Okay, there's an empty field here that we don't need. That always does come up. So here is all the data that we need for our analysis. And anything that hasn't sold will not have a closing date. So that's something that we do need to put in just because it doesn't, we won't be able to get a year for it. So I'm just going to do that since it's 2020. So assuming that it's going to sell this year. And then for the year that we need, we're just going to put in a very simple Excel formula, which is the year for this field. There you go. And just pull that down for every. And now we have the year for, and this is the data that we had earlier. That's going to give you the chart that we have here. And I'm going to do that for you as well, just to show you. So the data here that's gone missing, you can just go to any other sheet here and just copy this. The only thing that's going to be different is the number of homes in that neighborhood. So by default, it's going to copy the same number of homes. And again, to get the number of homes, what we're going to do is for these streets, we're going to go back to GSMLS and we're going to search for the tax records. for those streets. And it gives you the total number as 231 homes. So simple enough. You just plug that into your sheet here. And it's pulling up all the rest of the data, the number of sales and your everything else from this spreadsheet here that you just did. Everything's already plugged in, 47 sales, that's what it is. You got the number of sales per year based on the number of years you pulled up. Potential sales in this case is 2, your potential commission, expenses, income, and your return.
So
And
Nim, let me ask you this. When you had set this all up, start to finish, how much time did you put into this? Best guess.
I mean, I put in one day, one night actually, I would say.
Right. And you're very tech savvy, okay? But an average real estate agent is not quite as tech savvy. You think they could do this 5, 6, 7, 8 hours maybe?
Yes. I mean, if you have this setup, it's very easy. You just copy paste and do a search.
Okay. But it gave you a feeling of, okay, should I market into this neighborhood, establish a geographical farm, or should I not, based on the return, based on what's happening there and everything else, and agents and everything else, correct?
Absolutely. It was a very clear picture of every neighborhood and the agents selling in that neighborhood, and which you can't see if you're just looking at the data. So if I'm just looking at, at these numbers and all of this, it's very difficult to understand the numbers. But once everything is plugged in and you actually seeing, okay, there's a 7% return here, and this is your, potential income, and it's 2 sales, is it worth going into this neighborhood to farm? Maybe not.
Yeah.
Maybe this is a better neighborhood. You're getting more income, the return is higher, the potential for the number of sales is higher.
Right. Go to your summary sheet, because there was one development there you said definitely I'm not marketing to.
So for example, here we have Geographical Regency, and this is 4.3, which even though the number of sales is 9 and your potential is 2, but that's very low.
Yeah. So you're going to invest $1 to make $4 there, or we can invest $1 and make $8 or $9. Okay. Simply put, too. So one thing I want you guys to understand too, this is a geographical farm, but also these sellers are often buyers as well. So you're only looking at from the one side, the listing side. That's what NIM has set up here. If you start to look at it from the other side of it, let's say you start getting a return of 8.74 for every dollar invested, and what are they going to buy there? You factor that in, you're doing quite well with this too. But that's the beauty of a geographical farm. It's not just the listing side of it, although we want to be listing agents. You also have an opportunity for to pick up potential buyers for these buyers and sellers as well too. So good, awesome, Nim. I mean, this is for some people it might be complicated, but quite frankly, does exactly what we had talked about. Exactly. In this particular neighborhood, as an example, there's 4 or 5 agents that are all doing 2 transactions or less.
Yep.
So
again, nobody's the predominant agent here. It's nobody's doing more than 3 sales.
Those are townhomes, then I think townhomes.
These are townhomes. Yeah.
So townhomes over there. So do you want to pick up this neighborhood with a lesser return? Again, that's a decision you have to make.
Oh, not Glen. Actually, Quailbrook is. This one is townhomes.
Okay. Yeah, there you go. Across the board, look at no one's doing more than 2 transactions over there. So it's everybody's game. Anybody's game actually at this point too.
And the number of sales though here is high. So if you want to just look at it, even though your return may be low, maybe somebody wants to kind of combine some of these sales and get in there. Do you want me to go through the pivot chart, creating the pivot chart?
No, let's keep it that, because we do have an hour, so I want to make sure we keep it within that hour too.
Oh,
so
sure.
What NIM has, I mean, if you want to put your information into the chat, put your name, your email address, phone number in there. Basically, NIM, you have a basic format on this that we can send out, you said?
Yes, I can send out one with a sample. And
okay. Matter of fact, NIM, why don't you do this? Why don't we unshare your screen? You can go back and type in your information there. And basically at this point, then if anybody wants this layout, the Excel spreadsheet, NIM's going to put her information in chat, go directly to NIM and shoot her an email. And then basically what NIM can do is just email it to you. Does that work for you, NIM?
Sure. Absolutely.
Awesome. Good, good. Hey, great job. I mean, and please ask questions as we go through this as well. Okay, so let me get back up to sharing my screen. Okay. Okay. So Nim, great job on it. Great job. Okay,
Thank you, Joe.
so that's. I mean, quite frankly, Nim and I had many conversations about a geographical farm. And then her and I sat down and she showed me the Excel spreadsheet. I was blown away. I was literally blown away. I've never done it to this extent. You know, I assumed a lot of things too, which really is not the best way to go either. But so great job on that too. So let's talk about okay, now that you kind of picked your farm, you did all your homework, you have the right farm and everything else. Okay. Now the question is, okay, well, what are you going to do to send them? What are you going to send them? You know, so I'm going to tell you this, guys. Everything that you send them, every contact, every mail piece, every text message needs to offer some value to them. I said earlier, don't be, listen, if you love sending recipes for lasagna and casseroles and all that stuff, hey, great. If that's what you think is working, the homeowner really doesn't care about that. I hate to tell you this, they just don't care about it. They care to know about a couple things. One, really, what's the market trends? Are property values going up? What's the values of homes in my neighborhood? How many homes are selling? Is it the right time to sell my home? Is it the wrong time to sell my home? I mean, a lot of people, hey, let's put it this way, come May of this year, everybody was asking me and probably everyone on this call, geez, the market's really slow. Is real estate dying? Is it dying? I'm like, dying? May, June, July, and August, it's been the busiest 4 months I've ever seen in real estate. It's crazy busy, you know, but they assume it's been a bad market. So if they're thinking about selling and they don't speak to a real estate agent, they don't really know. So it's about timing as well, okay? And they want to know what's happening in their community, in their specific development, not just what's happening in their town, what's happening in their community. Are their properties selling? You know, and what are they selling for? How quick are they selling? You know, and also there's a lot of misinformation. I heard the Joneses sold for X. You know, only because the Joneses sold it for X minus, just because the Joneses really wanted to get out of Dodge, they didn't want to make the neighborhood bad. You know, so they got out of Dodge and they sold it for X minus 5% or whatever. Well, the Joneses sold it. Well, they never see the Joneses again. Okay, so so really get a feel for what's happening in the community too. They also need to know something what's the cost benefits of doing repairs or replacements. I can't, how many times I've been in homes where people say, you know, I'm going to replace this wall with a blah, 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 and I'm going to do this and everything else. And quite frankly, that's not going to be anything but a selling feature. It's not going to get their money back. And in this area, listen, if you do a kitchen and a bathroom, you might get 80, 85% of your money back. You are not getting 100% of it back. Quite frankly, through the Realtor magazine, the last statistic I saw to get 100% of your money back was garage doors and front doors. Don't ask me why. That's what that is in our area. So, hey, have them replace a garage door and a front door. That could make a difference. So get a dollar to dollar return. But putting that new whatever ceramic tile in, it's not going to get their return. So help them understand really what's the cost of doing repairs and benefits, okay? Also, they don't have a list of vendors, an electrician, a plumber, HVAC guy. Help them with that. Give them a list of those people. They're going to need to understand how to do some repairs, how to upgrade this or do whatever it might be. Again, provide something of value to them. If it's not of value, they have no reason to talk to you. They simply don't have no reason to talk to you, okay? But again, unless you make one heck of a recipe, okay, for a lasagna, okay? But so what types of marketing? Mix it up, guys. Mix it up. In my day, it was pretty much, you know, we had email, which is brand new at the time, okay? Mailings were very popular. We didn't have text messaging. We did open houses. Yes, we mix it up with mailings for open houses. What I mean is if you're doing an open house in a neighborhood, knock on some doors. Knock on some doors and invite them in too. Phone calls. If you can get phone calls or phone numbers, make calls to them, okay? Anything that's unique to yourself and those particular properties. Now, one of my favorite things was putting out American flags. Little short, 3.5, 4-foot American flags with a little card on the bottom. I put them on the right side of everybody's driveway, you know, right at the front by the curb. I never walked on their property. If it was a townhome development, I took the smaller little 8-inch flags and I put them in a mail and I mailed them out to them. You know, it was just a good feeling. When you're walking around a neighborhood and you see American flags there, it is a beautiful thing. It truly is a beautiful thing. So putting out American flags to me was great. I mean, you make that decision on that too. I still think it's a great thing. But it got me out in front of my geographical farm. I knocked on doors, talked to people. They thanked me for the flags, get a chance to them to see me. They see a picture of me all the time. So these are some of the things that you might want to do from a marketing standpoint. Be creative. Find some creative things there too, okay? Your message and your materials need to have a synergistic approach. Do not mix it up. Don't one postcard have greens and reds and using a Helvetica type styles, and another one being purples and blues, and it's another type style. Then the pictures over here, and another one. Here's another picture of you, and here's a. Keep it consistent. If I tell you guys this, you at the corner of your eye, you saw a brown step van driving by. It's a delivery truck. I can tell you right now, you're all gonna tell me it's UPS. Okay. If you're going by down the highway and you see two double yellow arches, I'm telling you right now, you know it's McDonald's. Even if there's no yellow arches there anymore, you just know it's McDonald's, okay? Have the same feeling, because I want them to do this. I want them to know who you are just by a quick glance, if it's going to be a postcard or a flyer or an email, a quick glance. And it needs to stay consistent with your signs, to your business cards, to anything else you do from marketing, from a postcard standpoint, from any text message. Keep it consistent, a consistent look and a consistent message, okay? Don't be all over the map. Don't be all over the map, okay? Next thing I'm gonna tell you is, think about flooding the market. If you, like Nim, you picked a particular neighborhood, they don't really know who you are. Well, okay, you can send out a piece a month, you know, that's 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, 4 months. Well, 30 days goes by to kind of forget about you. 30 days goes by to forget about you. Consider flooding the market with your marketing material in the first 60 to 90 days, okay? What I mean by that is, opposed to sending out one piece or one contact per month, send out 3 or 4 per month for the first 2 months. Really, by the 7th, 8th, 9th piece, they know exactly who you are. They know exactly who you are. And they know exactly what you do. Your consistency of your message, your theme, your look, it's all there. It's all there. And I'll give you a perfect example. Years ago, let's see, Snapple, the drink people, Snapple, came onto the scene. You cannot turn a corner without seeing a billboard that had Snapple on it. You couldn't turn on a radio without hearing a Snapple ad. You couldn't go anywhere. Signs all over the convenience food store, Snapple, 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 literally all over the place. And it was that catchy name, Snapple, okay? They'll turn the bottle top and you could get a message there, you know, that, you know, a bee has 36 toes on his left foot or something stupid like that, right? So, but for the most part, Snapple flooded the market in the first year. To the point, when was the last time you saw a Snapple ad? Now, of course, I think they've been sold to Coke and everything else, but you don't see Snapple ads. But you know what? If you go to any convenience food store, Snapple's there. They've earned the right to be there by their early marketing. Okay, so flood the market. Okay, and also whatever you set up, be proactive in your marketing. Don't just take a set it and forget it approach. See, for some people though, oh, I'm gonna set up a smart planner drip campaign. They're gonna get an email from me once a month for 12 months. Okay, I will tell you right now, it's not gonna have any effectiveness at all. None. Okay, so be proactive in your marketing. Mix in phone calls, mix in text messages. Be actively involved in what you're sending out. The more actively involved you are, the more that shows that you care about them and their neighborhood. So really think about the pieces that you send out, the information, the value you create, and that's all an absolute key for you guys to making this thing work, okay? Let's see if I get my screen to change, okay. So here's what Dinosaur Joe Kozo used to do, okay? So for me, January, I sent out small magnetic calendars. I did that January, January, between Christmas and New Year's, that was my time. You know, I used to put the labels on until I hired someone to do this, okay? February always was a postcard prepping your home for the spring market, what you can do for the inside tips and tricks, okay? March, I did a CMA certificate, and not just a piece of paper. I went out, I found a printer that put a gold star on it and whatever medallion, and made it look professional, made it look and had a good value to it. It was thicker material, you know, and it was in an envelope, you know, it was that type of thing. So it was a little bit more as a free CMA. Today, I would probably do the same thing, and everybody does free CMAs. But I might add an added bonus to saying, hey, with a free CMA, or work with one of your vendors, you can get a free staging walk and talk type of thing. And they'll do that all the time for you, okay? Or pair up with a mortgage person, whatever it might be. April, I did the same thing. I did a neighborhood market trend report. What's happening in their neighborhood? What's happening in the town? So to get a good feel for that. May was a phone call. And I just so you know, if I got phone numbers, I mixed 3 or 4 phone calls in a year, okay? So for me, it was a phone call, okay? June was a postcard, getting your home ready for outside tips and tricks, okay? July, I sent another CMA certificate. Again, same thing, okay? August, like I said, I did nothing. I felt people were already, you know, out of the market at that point too. So again, this is going back a few years ago. September, postcard, a list of vendors. And you can mix this up any way you want to. You can be more consistent. I mean, really, if you listen to what KW says about a 33 or 36 touch, the hit ratio is a lot greater. So maybe double this up if you want to, okay? In October, I did Halloween safety tips for the kids. Nothing about real estate, just some safety tips. Today would be a little bit different, of course, okay? November, it was just a nice Happy Thanksgiving postcard. It's bigger than normal. It just had Happy Thanksgiving, had the leaves and the colors and the pumpkins and all that stuff. Happy Thanksgiving. See, by this time, they know who Joe Coz was. I'm not looking for business. I'm just saying Happy Thanksgiving, giving thanks, however you're going to put it too. In December, I did nothing either, okay? Today, basically what I do is I filter in emails, text messages, activities, events, along with phone calls. I'd change it up a little bit more. Every time I saw a property come on the market, I might send them some information about that property, but I would be very active in this particular geographical farm, as opposed to some people sending out one piece, second piece, nothing, I quit, okay? And as two, you definitely need to use KW Command. If you're not setting up all these people into your KW Command, into your contacts, or making a huge mistake, get them in there, set them up as tags, categorize them into, call a farm. Don't call a farm by the development unless that's the only farm name and there's no other streets. Call it by a number, whatever it might be. If you want to call it Row Hill Development, Country Classics, you want to call it farm number 1, farm number 2, it doesn't matter to me. Have them in tags, because you might want to do some a little bit more aggressive marketing in one farm over another. Okay, so make sure that's in there too. And if you're not using smart plans, you're making a big mistake. Okay, set up smart plans for you, and your smart plan should be that combination of emails, text messages, everything else. Take a stock plan. I mean, there's some great stuff I've seen out there so far. Use a stock plan, customize it, whatever it's going to be, and have your smart plan set up that way too. You should definitely do that. Okay. Here's some notes I would tell you guys. Plan your geographical farm for the entire year. So right around this time of year, if you're saying I'm going to start a farm, Joe, starting January, by November, you should have your whole year planned out, what postcards you're sending out, where you're sending them out to, and everything else. And by the way, through Command, you could set up all your postcards and all your mailing right through the whole Command area, okay? Design them, everything else. You could set up your streets and everything else and do it that way. That's what I would do. And then basically have that go out every month too. Be creative, okay? And the information to send. And also understand this, what's happening in the area that's abnormal. One of my farms in Hillsborough years ago, there was mercury being moved around in the country, and it was going from warehouse to warehouse. And it came into a government warehouse in Hillsborough, okay? And there was a big concern about it. There was, all these town hall meetings about this and what's going on with this. So I attended those meetings. And not everybody in the neighborhood did. What I did is I went, attended, got the information. I basically paraphrased, I got whatever information it gave, and I marketed to that particular neighborhood. And let me tell you, the response I got from people, Joe, I really appreciate you letting us know we could not make that meeting, couldn't do that. We were concerned about it, And I would assure people that property values are staying pretty consistent, things of that nature. So think about things that you can do a little bit more creatively that could benefit the homeowner that way as well, okay? You need to know everything about your farm, everything. If you could get floor plans, the model homes, if you can get, the age of the community, who bought where, what's the names of the people, okay? The types of homes that are at, surrounding communities, age, everything. If you get everything you can possibly get about this neighborhood, you're going to be the professional that knows everything about that neighborhood. When they go to you and ask you about, what about the blah, 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 and you give them an answer and it's a legit answer, and the other agent says, I don't really know, you're going to sound a whole lot better knowing your neighborhood, okay? So think about that too. If another agent takes a listing in your farm, what I'd say, most agents are not going to follow up and are not going to market around that listing. They just simply don't. They might send out a just listed postcard, but I will tell you this, take that full advantage of that and market around someone else's listing in your farm. First of all, I took offense that you took a listing in my farm, and I'm going to take full advantage of that to market around your listing to make sure that I'm going to get the next listing in that farm. Okay, so make sure you do that. If it's a KW agent, then don't do that. Be kind of considerate of our own KW agents. Okay. Think about doing things outside of the norm. Think about hosting yard sales, events, block parties, community websites. Have a community website that everybody has access to. Neighborhood flyers. Okay. So think about things that you do that's out and about and that's different. Yeah, you do all the marketing for yard sale. You put out the signs for yard sale. Go door to door. I'm thinking about doing a yard sale on this day. Get your permits and do everything that you have to. I'll tell you, it's a great way to get back in front of people. You walk around a neighborhood. Hey, Mr. Jones, how you doing with your? Oh, we're doing great. Appreciate you setting it up. Awesome. You need to be that person they think of that's going to be the real estate agent of choice. When you get to that point of actually saying, I want to sell my home. Yes, it's going to be Nim Sandu. She's my go-to girl. She's been involved with us in this neighborhood for quite some time. Okay. Also understand this, this is not an immediate return on your investment, guys. It's not. This is long run, okay? You know, I would tell you this, you're in this business for a long run. Before you know, it's a year to 2 to 3 years later, and all of a sudden you're getting that 22 and 28% of your business from your geographical farm, okay? So I think that's an absolute key for you guys is to get into that farming aspects of it too. And let me see, I think we had some questions up here. Let me just see if I can't get my screen up here, but so anyway, what we'll do is if you have any questions, go to Nim. Is there any questions for me? I can't get my screen up. No questions? Okay, good. No questions. Good, good. All right, listen, Andy, can you type my information in the chat? If you guys need anything, Andy's gonna be typing in my information, my email. Feel free to let me know. We will share these notes here on this slide presentation if you like. You know, so I got somebody raising a hand and anything there, Andy? For whatever reason, there we go. There we go. Let's see. I had, let's see. Okay, so let's finish this out here too. Listen, I started with Green Acres. We're gonna end with Green Acres, okay? So we got another 2 minutes here. So if you know anything about Green Acres, enjoy. This is all about mailings, okay? Oops.
Hi, Ralph.
Judy, may I be the first to wish you a happy old mail day?
Oh, thank you.
I can hardly wait to see what goodies I'm going to get. Last old mail day, I got a Valentine from Richard Burton.
You got a...
It was returned. I didn't put enough postage on it.
Well, that was a lucky break for Liz.
Yeah, I might have busted them up.
I'm sure it would have. Hi, Mr. Douglas. Mrs. Douglas? Oh, that's not Mrs. Douglas. Oh, I guess it isn't. Who is it? It's Ralph Monroe.
Hi, Hanky. Been up to any panky?
Good luck, Kimball.
Franz, Mr. Drucker said he'll be out in a few minutes for the old Mail Day ceremony.
Ceremony?
Mr. Drucker wants to know if you got your buckle.
What's a buggle?
Don't go away.
Lisa, would you please tell Mr. Drucker?
That's a buggle.
If you do that again, Ralph, I'll... Hi, Mr. Douglas. Happy old mail day. Yes, hello, Mr.
Has the ceremony started yet?
No, not yet.
Well, I thought I heard somebody blow the bugle.
It's not a bugle, it's a bugle.
Does that sound like a bugle to you?
Ralph, if you don't quit. Now, what's the matter with him?
You've got your car parked where he always parks his bicycle.
He's what?
Folks, could I have your attention, please? The old mail day ceremony is about to begin. Ralph, could we have a fanfare on your bugle?
Oh, yes, sir.
Thank you. Evans, bring out the old mail. Here you are. Now, for the benefit of those who have never witnessed an old mail day ceremony, I'd like to explain just what old mail day is.
Oh, yes, I know you know what it is, but there's people here that don't.
Old Mail Day is the day I clean out my store and my post office and gather together all the old mail that's gone astray or been misplaced or temporarily lost. Now, up to now, the oldest letter I found has been dated 1942.
That's 26 years ago.
Yep, and I'm happy to tell you that that record has been broken. Fred? Would you read the postmark on this letter addressed to you?
August 12th, 1917.
That's over 50 years ago.
Yeah, I found it behind a case of 8-button spats, which will go on sale immediately following this ceremony.
Doggone.
What is it, Mr. Zipper?
I've been drafted.
All right, guys. Listen, I hope you enjoy that. It's just the ending Tuesday here for you. I hope this stuff has been good for you guys. I want to thank Nim for helping us out with her spreadsheet, which is phenomenal. I want to thank Annie for handling the technology part of this too. If you do have any questions, we'll stay open for another minute or two. And feel free to ask, and our information's there as well. I hope you guys got something out of this. I know that you guys are getting a lot out of the whole listing mania session for the month of October. So this has been phenomenal. So I want to thank you guys for being on this call. In the meantime, you guys have an enjoyable Tuesday, and we'll catch up with you soon. Okay? Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Joe.